How are you ever supposed to feel good about your actions and good about what you're doing if you're never, ever recognizing your effort?
You can literally complete a to-do list 10 long, and you still won't feel good about that. Why is that? And what are you not leveraging that business owners are?
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia here for today, episode 523. The mental health skill business owners understand that most people just don't. So today in this episode, Bianca and I are going to take a little bit of that kind of business approach, because one of the things that she and I have that I find a lot of people come to me for is, how do you guys do so much while having such impact and still survive? And that question inspired this episode on a multitude of occasions because of the fact that we see time and time again, there are business owners and people that are underutilizing what we see successful business owners doing. And so the backstory for this one, Bianca, was I was on a call with a client. She's a business owner, rather new business owner as well. So I'll just add that. But this is not a new concept, and this is something that's not net new to her life. So she's in her 40s and she's always been entrepreneurial in her spirit, right? Always creating value in the world and then, turning it for a profit to some degree, adding value in products or services that she had. And this woman has always 3 jobs at the same time, not necessarily just to make sure that she has financial freedom, but because she's that type of person that just always sees value and tries to add that. However, she is. And so much respect for that. However, one of the things that we were talking about was she goes into a productivity session. So trying to get into flow is really, really difficult for her. And that's a whole nother conversation. But what we focused in on was, once she does, let's say, have a hour block session of just straight productivity, she's going to get her quote unquote to-do list done. She'll list down 10 things that she needs to do. And this is before we kind of got into it. And she was telling me, Emilia, I would get 3 things done, and the next day I would feel like such a lug. I wouldn't be able to kind of get myself into that flow for my next working batch. And I find myself just so focused on what didn't get done as opposed to what did get done. So my parts are feeling so angry at myself because I didn't finish the thing. And I said, girl, hold on, let me talk to you. So you're telling me that there's 3 inputs that you had done that are actually really important, that move the needle forward to this bigger project that you need to get done. And you're not celebrating that. You're not self-assigning, doing that quote unquote pat on the back. And you're not really recognizing that win at all. As a matter of fact, you actually feel like you're less productive now. And she's like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. So I go, what do you think would happen if, and just hear me out, if you were to actually recognize and redirect your focus on the inputs that you're doing and not the ones that you haven't done yet? How do you think you would feel? And she drops her pen. She looks at me and she's like, probably pretty good. I'm like, yeah, no shit. But ultimately it's this concept of it's so common for us to get so lost in the minutia of what hasn't been done. And it seems so simple, but it's ridiculous how much we're not leveraging this. And this is something that becomes a mental health skill, hence the episode topic, because of the fact that this literally would be carried into her day, into her evening when she closed down the day. And she would be beating herself up. You didn't get this done. You didn't get that done. Just focused on, and trust me, I respect, and I know it's a part of trying to improve. But if you're never doing that self-assignment on the inputs, you will never have the full outputs that you could have. And have sustainable mental health while you're doing that. So let's talk about that. I think that it's a under-leveraged skill, not just in business owners. And again, I don't just see this in early business owners. I see this in business owners that are 10, 15 years in. And this is something that Even someone who's a solopreneur can leverage. Someone who has a side hustle can leverage. Someone who's just trying to get better at what they do and feel better about what they do on the day-to-day. I want to make sure y'all are leveraging what I told her to do.
This is something that every single person can do. I mean, how many of you listening to this will do, you'll start a habit, you'll do a new thing, you'll start getting on track, and then you don't give yourself credit for it because it's like, well, I should have been doing that already.
Right.
I should have been already showing up this way. I should have already been doing X, Y, and Z. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to give myself credit. I'm not going to celebrate myself. I'm actually going to shame and berate myself for the fact that I have not done this yet. And it's like, okay, when you crash out in a couple of days, let me know how it goes.
It's true.
I'm going to talk about myself for a second, not because I need anyone to care about me, but just for the principle of the matter. Emilia, when we first started this mission, was I like competent? Be honest. Please just be honest. Was I competent?
Okay. Being honest.
Blunt honesty.
You were not nearly as competent as you are now. And we
Don't
joke
make it nice.
No.
Make
We
it nice.
joke. Hold on. I'm not making it nice. We joked that you couldn't find your way out of a paper bag. And honestly, with all the love, that's really what it was. Yeah.
Okay. Was I capable of handling a large number of tasks?
Absolutely not.
Okay. How did I do with distress tolerance, emotion regulation, and emotion dysregulation?
That's assuming you did anything. You didn't.
So I was a fluff and nightmare. Is that fair to say?
A peanut butter and fluff nightmare.
Okay, beautiful.
Grilled peanut butter and fluff nightmare.
Okay.
For sure. With all the love.
Okay, thank you. What about now?
Well, you can find your way out of a paper bag if it's dropped in the middle of the desert on an island that you've never been to. And not only will you survive, I would put some money on if it was like a survival show. I'd put my money on you 10 out of 10 times.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. The only reason I am using myself as an example is to give a little bit of perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wildly incompetent. I wasn't a bad person. I was just incompetent. I was not capable of doing things. The sole reason I would put money on this is because I never, ever gave myself credit for any of the inputs that I did.
Yeah.
It was a sole focus on shame and humiliation and sadness and depression and whatever, feeling bad about myself that I couldn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, I never allowed myself to try and put effort and then to acquire the skills and then to self-assign, to give that credit. I was not capable of operating at a high standard. And again, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this for anyone to be like, oh, look at you. I'm saying this because it is the reality. Okay.
Yeah.
I do now 11 therapy sessions per day. I have my own therapy that I get done. I also get coaching done, right? So therapy and coaching 5 days a week. I am running our media department. I am running our entire community right now. We record these podcasts. I lift and exercise every single day. I am running a mile every single day. I am doing, and that's not even the full extent of what I do.
No,
in
your
a day,
girl could keep
and
going.
on week to week. And again, this is going to sound arrogant, like, oh, good for you. No, it's to provide context. I was wildly inept. And now I'm able to do all of this. It's because of what we're talking about here.
And just, I want to provide context so that people can really kind of understand the statistical bell curve here. The average therapist gets in about 4 to 6 therapy sessions per day. So not only is Bianca like double that, it's double then some. So I say that because I think it's important to kind of share, not even just in that one component, the output, which is what we're going to talk about next, which is the systems way in which you've developed your thinking through the influences that you've put in your corner. It has allowed your thinking to be expanded, more effective, more efficient, and more impactful with higher leverage, using leverage to your advantage. And when you can upgrade your thinking, which is what you've done along the way, you are able to handle more. You have more skill sets to navigate stress, overwhelm. You are able to prevent burnout from actually happening. When you get things done, you can actually celebrate yourself instead of shame yourself for what's left over on the to-do list. You are realistic about deadlines. You are able to no longer force yourself to procrastinate, but rather to be more respectable about your own time and well-being instead of putting everything to the last minute and then putting yourself in this freak out rush zone, right? Like the stewardship of yourself has come way up as a result of you consistently leaning in over time again and again. And that's where I think it's really exciting to be able to hear some stories like that, Bianca. And I'm glad that you use yourself as an example, because when I have, when we are speaking to the listeners on the other side of this camera, on the other side of their screen, yes, right? You are able to acquire these capabilities and develop your skill set. It just simply is going to take repetitions and time, right? Repetitions and over time consistently is going to allow you to get the mental health benefit, not just of being able to be productive, because that's not just what this conversation is about. It's how do you actually self-actualize, others actualize, and rise to the level of your goals, your dreams, what you never believed was capable of for yourself, what you never thought you could do or be or become. And like I was talking to this wonderful man this past Friday. Shout out to you if you're listening. And we were talking about the concept of self-actualization. Now he's in his 50s, really successful business owner, and has kind of switched gears into the podcasting realm, helping neurodivergence. So he and I connected over Mission, and he had me on his podcast and we did a follow-up call, and he asked me like, what keeps you guys motivated? Like what keeps you specifically? It seems like you got a lot of energy. And it's like, yeah, I do. And why I mentioned this in this episode is because of the fact that we are actualizing our potential. Like we are rising to the occasion of our potential and having incredible mental health while we're at it. We're developing what we refer to in the last Out of the Mud event that we had done, high capacity resilience. Which that to whatever you want your life designed in, your high capacity resilience can contribute to high capacity relationships, high capacity outputs, high capacity mental health. And that's what matters, because at the end of the day, with the integration of AI, and people are just going to be totally at a loss for how to rise to their own level of potential while trying to manage the mental health considerations that we have ahead of us. I want to make sure that the Evolve community is well equipped, and we can't just expect them to be, right? We all have to kind of think about, well, what are people doing that are actually really able to handle a higher level? Why are they able to be the exceptionally evolved version of themselves? Like when we look at your story, right? What did it take them in order to be able to be the level of productive that you have over 2 times the quote unquote average, right? Like, and that's just in one area. That doesn't mean all the other zones that you're above average in, right? Like, I don't think anyone shows up in their day and is like, I just want to be average. I just want to be your average Joe, right? There may be some people, but guaranteed if you're listening to this podcast, you are someone that wants to evolve and get to your highest level of potential, whatever that is, even if it's not that level of intensity that Bianca and I have.
Emilia, most people just want to be average. What are you talking about?
Wait, okay. But do they wake up saying that? Hey, I just feel like being average today.
Yes.
Like, no.
Yes,
no.
they do. They
BS.
don't say, no, they don't say it like that. But most people are just like, I'm not going to go above and beyond. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to get by. I'm going to get through the day.
Fair.
I just want to get to the end of the week and go to the bar, go to the club, go do to the next vacation, whatever.
True.
So like,
True. Fair.
You're inaccurate in that. The majority of people.
Okay. Yeah.
Want
Okay.
to
I guess
be
I have
average.
some incredible clients that want to rise to the occasion. So shout out
The
to y'all. Let's
evolved
go.
community wants to get better. The people in our orbit, the people who seek us out and listen to this show are people who are, they might be more average like I am, right? I'm a super average person, but like we want to get to the higher end of the bell curve.
Because of what it means to you, right? Like, Bianca, what does it mean to you to be able to have the level of mental health that you do have and to be able to perform in the arenas that you never thought was possible at one time in like many different arenas? Like, what does that mean to you? Just to go with that example.
I had a call with Alan the other day. For those who haven't been on the show before, Alan is Emilia's partner, and he has been coaching me for 8 years now. And I think I've been working with you for 6, 7. And he said the other day on a call, he goes, B, you love progress. And I'm like, yeah. No shit. He's like,
doesn't.
No, but the way that he was talking about it was like, you love seeing progress more than almost anyone. Like when you do something and you can see the progress that you're making, he's like that motivates the hell out of you. And it's like, yeah, because I thought I was a fucking loser the majority of my life. And honestly, with as much like compassion and love for my parts as I can muster, I was. Not because I was bad, not because I was broken, but because of the things that I had been through in my life. I was inept, incompetent, incapable. So getting to oh God, I don't want to share this. Okay. Last night.
Woof. Be respectful of your nervous system.
No, it's not bad. It's an amazing thing. You know how you don't like sharing good stories about yourself because you're like, you're going to get attacked?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
All right, let's go. Step into the light.
Last night, I woke up at 5 a.m. after having only slept 5 hours. My sleep was horrible. Oh yeah. Not great. Not great.
Whoa. What the heck? We're
5
talking about good mental health and you're getting 5 hours?
Listen, I was working. I was working the night before. So 5 hours. I wake up at 5 a.m. My day yesterday did not end until midnight. So this morning, midnight.
My goodness.
I get home from what I was doing. And I was like, oh my God, I still have to run my mile today. Midnight.
Oh yeah.
And I'm looking at Aries treadmill. So my dog, Aries, I got him a little walking pad treadmill. The thing only goes up to 3.8 miles an hour. It's ridiculous. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, nobody would know if you didn't do this. Nobody would know.
True.
Nobody would give a shit either. And it's like, yeah, but I would. I would know. I will not go to bed until I do this mile. I'm like half asleep, by the way. You ever been so tired you feel drunk?
The amount of times that Alan and I have exercised between 12 and 2 a.m. is alarming. in blizzard weather,
Oh my
rainy,
God.
lightning, thunder. Yeah. Trust me. I know.
I felt drunk. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. You are not going to sleep until you get this effing mile done.
Because you
And I
promised
did.
yourself.
Because I promised myself. That's why I do this. Because I'm now the kind of person who does shit like that. I keep the promises I make to myself. And for the purpose of this episode, to the purpose of this episode, I did not start there. I did not start there. I slowly, over time, started forcing myself to recognize my inputs. Okay, I did this thing. I don't want to give myself credit for it, my parts. I don't want to give myself credit for this. I should do it anyways. I don't care. Give yourself credit. Give yourself credit. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Self-assign. 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 You do that over time, you start improving your sense of self-worth, your sense of self-belief. And then you could start noticing, oh, I'm capable of more. Okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? I had a client say this yesterday. She never worked out consistently in her entire life. 2 weeks consistent exercise. She was walking every single day. She's like, I never thought I would be able to do this. She's like, I want to up this. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Good for you. That's what happens when you focus on your inputs.
Facts. So on the screen, we're going to have the production team flash a systems thinking process, which is, this is what successful business owners, people that you look at who are achieving more in less time, who are leveraging the inputs, quote unquote, what they are doing for their advantage and really looking at their time very differently, their inputs very differently, and are having more, better, improvement, you name it. This is what they're doing on either a very conscious and strategic level or an unconscious strategic level. What you'll see on the screen is 4 steps. And this is just an iterative process, no matter what you're doing. So for this client that I mentioned earlier, the input was sending an email to some prospects. The output, she doesn't have anything to show for that. So she didn't self-assign. She didn't measure or put the one on a spreadsheet, on her journal, on her notes, wherever she's measuring her stuff. And a lot of people will never actually have their own version of a scoreboard to track and quote unquote measure what it is that they're doing, what it is that they're doing that moves the needle in the direction of her goals. So if you're not doing the input, the output, the measure, you can't necessarily adjust anything to help increase the leverage of your next input. And so your next input, for example, would be a email to the prospect, but specifically with a deadline or specifically with a close or call to action. And we were kind of talking about this in terms of what is the input that you're giving yourself after you move the needle? Yeah. Are you doing that self-assign or are you completely neglecting it? And that's what I had her do. I said, well, every single time you make a needle move, aka a physical tactical input, which would be like doing something on her to-do list, a subtask, a needle move that doesn't have a quick, conversion of a client, let's say, right? It might take 3 months, but that doesn't mean discount the 3 months of inputs if you're focused on generating specific content, or if you're focused on sending an email or contacting a prospect or doing a campaign. Like, you need to make sure that you self-assign that and that you're actually measuring how quick are you to give yourself credit? How much are you leveraging that momentum of self-belief to move the needle forward next time? How quickly are you dropping into flow? How slowly are you, right? So those are all different ways in which you can apply systems thinking to not just your level of productivity, but also your mental health. And I think that when we look at mental health from a system standpoint, input, output, measure, and adjust, it's so fascinating what you can do. And you can apply this to your distress tolerance skills. For a client of mine who is a conscious single in the dating world, we're applying this to his response time to his DMs with a woman of interest. And we're applying this to specifically like the inner narratives that he has to himself. For example, I don't know how to express my feelings, to I know how I feel and I know where I feel it. Let me find out what some of those feelings are, right? Like those little tiny things make a big difference. But if we're not logging that difference and we're unconsciously or consciously rejecting those inputs, what are the odds that it's going to slug us down? We're going to focus on shame. We're going to focus on self-flagellation as opposed to what actually is there, which is leverage. So for anyone watching this or listening to this, I want you to write down what's one thing that you can focus on by the end of today that you can input, or that there's inputs from you. There's an output that you deeply need or want. One way in which you can measure it, you can apply a 0 to 10 scale to practically anything. And then how will you adjust it? That's what I would encourage you to do. Choose one thing. It could be your automatic thoughts. It could be your response time, whatever it is. Just do one thing that can help improve this skill so that you can improve your mental health.
And give it enough time. You don't do something once, you look at it and be like, oh, nothing happened. All right, I'm going to adjust this now. You need to give it enough time. So for example, with this client, we said 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you're going to walk for 10 minutes every single day. So 2 weeks was the measured time period. So there was the inputs. The output was, did you do it? We measured it. She did. Now we're going to adjust it. So now we upped it to 15 minutes and we're going to see how that goes.
Easy peasy. And if she can't do that, then we'll down a little bit.
Then
Adjustment
we'll go down. Exactly.
Up and down. There's no meaning to it until we assign one. And I think we have this unconscious quick to assign what we do and don't do has meaning. And when we can be the steward of our own meaning making to that adjustment, I think that there's so much power in that. So, all right, this feels complete. Bianca, any closing thoughts on your end?
Self-assignment only feels petulant and childish because you've been convinced your whole life that you shouldn't be doing it and you shouldn't have it by people who didn't want to give it.
Yeah. It's actually a really immature thing to do if you're not self-assigning, because it's literally so illogical when you actually understand from a neuroscience standpoint the dopaminergic loop that we all have, that we're either under leveraging or leveraging, right? Like, or some capacity of that.
Facts. All right.
Already.
If you want to get better at this, if you want to learn how to do this, if you want to feel, more capable, then this next episode is exactly what you need. $4.99, the real reason people give up on their dreams, part 2. We are going to put it right up here, somewhere on the screen. You can just click that bad boy.
While you're in the click type or action, if you will, in the show notes, you will see an invitation for you to sign up for our once in a year program, Evolve Group Coaching. This is where 10 people get in a room. They're all evolvers that want to evolve to their better version of themselves. That is kicking off July 23rd. And by the time that we're recording this episode, that is in 3 days. So likely seats are filled. But if you sign up today, you will automatically get that seat that is open. And if it's closed, you already get on the wait list for next year. So don't wait on that. As always, thank you everyone for your interest in the science of holistic mental health. We encourage you to keep evolving.
Bye, everybody.